Experience the epic HF, why sci-fi adventure. Join Captain Elias Kane and Lyara as they fight the Obsidian Dominion, forge a bond across species, and prove human courage knows no limits. Subscribe for more thrilling alien line English stories. Hit the bell to never miss a new HF, why adventure. Suggested on-screen call to action. Enjoyed the story? Subscribe now and journey with us to more alien worlds. The twin suns of Virelia burned low over a jagged landscape of crimson crystal spires, casting fracturing glacis plein. Airborne flora swirled with faint bioluminescence, and the wind carried a metallic tongue that made every breath taste alive. Jagged rivers of liquid mercury snaked between obsidian cliffs, and distant storm clouds crackled with electric, violet lightning. Amid this alien grandeur strode Captain Elias Kane, human envoy of the Terran coalition. His boots crunched on the brittle, crystal ground as he surveyed the horizon with trained eyes. He was on a small, seemingly routine mission: gather intelligence on local fauna and secure safe passage for a survey vessel. But Elias's instincts hummed like the pulse of a predator. Something was off. Suddenly, a faint, desperate cry cut through the wind. Elias froze. A small figure limped across the jagged plains, barely visible against the red glow of the terrain. As he approached, he saw Lyara, an alien woman of the Yelari species known for their lithe frames, translucent skin, and eyes like molten silver. She was wounded, her limbs bent unnaturally, and the patrols he had been avoiding zipped past, ignoring her plight. The moral choice was instantaneous. The coalition code might have advised leaving the local species to their own devices, but Elias didn't hesitate. He sprinted to her side, lifting her effortlessly despite her fragile weight. Her eyes met his fear, pain, and a spark of cautious hope shimmering within. "Stay with me," he said, voice firm yet gentle. "I don't leave people behind." As he carried her toward a small outcropping for shelter, a storm of violet lightning tore across the sky, reflecting in her silver eyes. For the first time, Elias felt something more than duty pull toward this fragile, alien soul who had been abandoned by her own. On the jagged spire of Elias Kane, and bandaged Lyara's wounds, their hands brushing, lingering, and the first sparks of connection igniting between species. This moment, brief and fragile, marked the start of a bond that would soon test courage, morality, and love itself. Elias and Lyara moved cautiously through the remnants of Virelia's shattered city. Jagged towers half buried in crystalline sand. Once a thriving Yelari capital, the metropolis now lay in ruins, evidence of empire, occupation, and secret atrocities whispered in the wind. Lyara, leaning heavily on Elias, winced as she stepped over a fractured bridge. "They'll find us," she said, voice barely audible over the distant hum of patrolling drones. Elias smirked, a glint of human audacity in his eyes. "Let them try." Humans don't run, they improvise. A pulse of red light flared ahead. A scout drone had spotted them. Elias grabbed a jagged shard of crystal, using it to reflect sunlight into the drone sensors. The mission fire spark fleeing. Lyara laughed a soft, musical sound that made Elias's chest tighten. "You're reckless," she said, smiling despite the danger. "And you," he teased, "smile when you should scream. We balance each other out." They dashed across shattered streets, dodging laser patrols and crumbling debris. Elias's human ingenuity improvised traps. Clever fin and brute force kept them one step ahead. Lyara, despite her injuries, contributed with uncanny agility, leaping and twisting in ways no human could, hinting at her species' unique abilities. As they reached the city's heart, Elias noticed symbols etched into the ruins marks of the Obsidian Dominion. A brutal empire rumored to conduct secret experiments on occupied worlds. Lyra's hand brushed one of the marks, and she winced. "They took my sister," she whispered, voice trembling. Used her for their rituals. The revelation struck Elias. This was no mere occupation, this was systematic cruelty. A moral outrage that humans were uniquely suited to oppose with courage and ingenuity. They found temporary shelter in a collapsed library. By the soft glow of alien bioluminescence, Elias tended Lyra's wounds again. This time, he noticed a subtle shimmer in her skin, a psychic pulse, almost imperceptible. Lyara, your species. You can feel things. Connect? Elias asked. She nodded, eyes meeting his. Tentatively, she extended her hand. A ripple of warmth and memory flowed between them, a shared vision of her sister, the Empire's cruelty, and the hope of escape. Elias felt her fear, but also her courage, intertwining with his own resolve. You're not alone, he whispered. And I'm not leaving, ever. In that moment, just survival. But trust, empathy, and a spark of something undeniably human, the relentless drive to protect and love across difference. Elias and Lyara approached the Obsidian Fortress, a monolithic spire of black crystal looming over the ruined city like a predator. Lightning danced across its jagged edges, reflecting in the rivers of molten metal below. The fortress was heavily guarded, but Elias's mind raced with human ingenuity. Every lock, every patrol, every sensor was a puzzle he could outthink. Stay close, he whispered to Lyara. We move like shadows. Lyra's eyes glimmered, and she reached out, establishing their psychic link once more. Elias felt her calm determination flow into him, steadying his nerves. Together, they moved silently, evading laser turrets and patrolling drones with a combination of human cleverness and Yelari agility. Inside the fortress, they discovered a hidden chamber, a ceremonial hall. Strange symbols lined the walls, and in the center, a pulsating crystal altar radiated a faint, eerie glow. Lyara shivered. This is the ritual chamber, she whispered. They force my people to bind their life energy to these crystals. It fuels their empire, their weapons, their oppression. Elias and Lyara moved to the altar, and she hesitated. It's dangerous, but I can stop it. If you trust me, he took her hand, eyes firm. I trust you, always. Lyara placed her other hand on the pulsating crystal. Energy surged through her, linking Elias and Lyara in a psychic communion stronger than before. He felt her pain, her memories, and the collective suffering of her people, but also hope, resilience, and determination. A surge of energy healed her wounds, and he felt a warmth like sunlight in his chest, human courage amplified by alien power. They were now more than allies. They were partners, bound across species by trust, empathy, and shared purpose. Alarm sirens screamed. Guards flooded the hall. Elias drew his weapon, firing with precision, human reflexes honed under pressure. Lyara moved like liquid silver, disabling enemies and manipulating energy fields with her psychic link. Together, they carved a path through the fortress. As they reached the outer gates, an imposing figure appeared, Admiral Veron, the Empire's enforcer. His armor glinted like obsidian, eyes cold and unyielding. You think two weaklings can challenge the Dominion? He sneered. Elias stepped forward, chest out, unflinching. We're not weak. We're human and we fight for what's right. Lyara extended her hands, channeling the energy of the ritual crystal. A surge of alien power combined with Elias's fearless resolve, striking Veron and shattering his defenses. The fortress trembled as they escaped. The Empire's hold weakened. The oppressed people inspired by the humans' courage and the Yelari's awakening. The twin suns of Virelia rose over the horizon, illuminating the remnants of the Obsidian Fortress. The air vibrated with the march of Dominion forces, their black-armored columns advancing toward the liberated city. Elias stood at the forefront, side by side with Lyara, their hands clasped. "This ends today," he said. "For every life they've taken, every soul they've broken, we end it." Lyara's silver eyes glowed, reflecting the rising suns. Together, she whispered, "We are stronger than they know." The battle erupted with a cinematic fury. Human soldiers and liberated Yelari joined forces. Inspired by Elias's audacity and Lyra's psychic command of energy fields. Lasers cut through the crimson sky, crystal shards exploded under fire. And Elias led daring charges into enemy ranks, exploiting every tactical weakness with sheer ingenuity and courage. Lyara moved like a living storm, her psychic power shielding allies and dismantling Dominion weaponry. Their bond was palpable every glance, every touch, every thought sensed in perfect harmony. Together, they became a force no empire could ignore. At the heart of the battlefield, Admiral Veron confronted them again. His armor scorched the air with oppressive heat. "You cannot win against the Dominion," he bellowed. Elias stepped forward, chest unflinching, heart blazing. "We're human. We don't quit. We adapt. And we protect the innocent always." Lyara joined him, hands glowing with psychic energy, intertwining with Elias's courage. A surge of power erupted, overwhelming Veron, shattering his armor, and finally breaking the Dominion's grip on the city. As Veron fell, the Dominion force then fled. The city was free. In the quiet aftermath, Elias and Lyara stood amidst the ruins, their hands still entwined. Lyara placed her forehead against his, psychic energy flowing softly between them. "You saved me," she murmured. "No," Elias said gently. "You saved me, too. You reminded me why humans fight, why we love, why we never give up." Lyara smiled, tears shimmering. "Then, stay with me." Their lips met in a tender, victorious embrace, human and alien, united by courage, trust, and love. Around them, orphaned Yelari children gathered, looking to Elias and Lyara as symbols of hope. A child, small and curious, reached out. Elias scooped the little one into his arms. "Found family," he said with a grin. "Looks like we're starting our own." Lyara laughed, resting her hand on his shoulder. "A human, a Yelari, and a new generation. Together, we're stronger than any empire." The twin suns rose fully over Virelia, casting golden light across the liberated city. In that light, the bond of courage Briar ever could, humanity had shown its indomitable spirit, and love had become a bridge across species. The twin suns of Virelia rose like molten coins over the horizon, their light pouring across a broken world. The shattered teeth of the Obsidian fortress jutted from the earth, half collapsed, still smoking from the earlier assault. Ash drifted on the wind, the air thrumming with the distant march of metal boots. Black-armored columns of the Dominion marched in lockstep through the ruins, a tide of obsidian and fire pushing toward the fragile line of defense around the liberated city. Elias stood at the forefront on a shattered causeway, Lyara beside him. Their fingers were interlaced, palms pressed so tight it hurt. Human soldiers in scarred armor, and Yelari fighters with glowing sigils lined up behind them, a small army stitched together by desperation and hope. "This ends today," Elias said, voice carrying over the ranks like a promise. "For every life they've taken, every soul they've broken, we end it." Lyara turned to him, silver eyes catching the new sunlight. A faint band of psychic light shimmered between their clasped hands. Together, she whispered, "We are stronger than they know." Their shared link pulsed, Elias feeling her calm flow into his chest. Lyara soaking in his unshakable refusal to give up. 2 souls, 2 species, 1 resolve. The Dominion vanguard raised their weapons. The sky exploded. Lasers streaked red and violet through the air, turning the crimson morning into a storm of light. Crystal shards burst from shattered walls, raining down like glass rain. The ground shook as Dominion walkers fired into barricades made of rubble and twisted metal. "Move!" Elias shouted, charging forward. Human troops lunged into action, taking cover behind broken towers and scorched transport husks. Yelari channeled psychic shields, translucent barriers flaring to life as enemy fire pounded against them. Zelene yelled because it refused to like him. She stepped forward, hands raised, eyes blazing. Psychic energy rippled from her fingers like liquid starlight. Bolts of Dominion fire bent away, licking harmlessly across her shimmering barrier. "You will not take my world again," she hissed, and the air around her snapped with power. Elias used every second she bought them. He directed squads, called out weak points, spotted artillery positions before they could fire. "Second squad, right flank, now," he yelled. "Hit that walker joint, yes, there." Human flexibility, that wild, stubborn habit of turning chaos into opportunity, shone through. Improvised traps, grenade-laden crystal shards, redirected enemy missiles bouncing off Yelari into brutal ballet. Together, Elias and Lyara became the center of the storm. Every glance between them carried data positions, timing, risk. Every brush of fingers sent reassurance and urgency flooding across their link. She amplified his instinct. He anchored her power. Where he saw angles, she saw futures. Where she faltered, he stood firmer. And for the first time since the Dominion had come, Virelia began to push back. The battle thinned into pockets of fire, smoke curling up into the light of the twin suns. Then the air changed heavy, oppressive like a storm inhaling. From the broken arch of the fortress gate walked Admiral Veron. His armor was reforged obsidian, plates alive with searing magma lines. The air around him quivered with heat. Each step he took left scorch marks on the already burnt ground. His visor retracted, revealing eyes like cold, polished stones. "You cannot win against the Dominion," he bellowed, voice amplified across the ruins. "You are gnats, scratching at the skin of an empire." The Dominion troops rallied at his presence, their lines firming, weapons lifting. Elias stepped forward, hand slipping from Lyra's only, so he could place himself between her and Veron. His chest rose and fell, lungs burning, armor streaked with dust and blood, but his eyes were steady. "We're human," he said. "We don't quit. We adapt, and we protect the innocent always." Lyra's hand brushed his shoulder from behind, and then slid down to tangle with his fingers again. She stepped to his side, not behind him. Her eyes glowed brighter than Veron's armor lines. "And he," she added softly, "does not stand alone." Their hands locked. The link snapped fully into place. Lyara opened herself to the ritual's lingering energy, to the pain of her people, to the fragile hope blooming in the liberated city. The psychic current roared through her and into Elias' memories. Fear, courage, 1,000 silent prayers. Elias didn't flinch. He let it in. He gave back everything human in return. Stubborn defiance, reckless bravery, the bone-deep conviction that no one deserved chains. It surged into Lyara like fire into the veins of a star. "Now," he murmured. Lyara raised their joined hands. Psychic energy ignited, swirling around them in a vortex of light and heat. Veron lifted his arm to fire. The world turned white. A surge of alien power, shaped by human will, erupted from their joined hands. It hit Veron like a cosmic hammer. His armor screamed, obsidian plates fracturing, molten seams bursting in jets of light. He staggered, roaring in rage and disbelief. "Impossible!" The second wave hit before he finished. Guided by Lyra's precision, fueled by Elias's refusal to let anyone else die, for this, the psychic blast shattered his armor completely, flinging him backward. He crashed into the broken gate of the fortress, obsidian splinters exploding around him. Silence fell for a heartbeat. Then Dominion lines broke. Soldiers staggered, looked up, saw their unstoppable admiral crumpled in the ruins. They hesitated, weapons dipped. For the first time, they looked uncertain. Human and Yelari soldiers surged forward as one, shouting, roaring, shining with hope. The Dominion forces wavered, then turned and fled, scattering like shadows before the dawn. The city was free. Later, when the echoes of battle had faded, the wind carried only soft voices and the distant crackle of dying fires. The twin sons of Virelia had climbed high, spilling gold across the broken fortress and the battered city that still stood. Elias and Lyara stood where Varan had fallen. Now just a scorched patch of ground and a broken arch that no longer felt quite so terrifying. Their hands were still entwined. Lyara stepped closer and gently pressed her forehead to his. Psychic energy hummed softly between them, no longer a storm, just a warm current, like sunlit water. "You saved me," she whispered, her breath tickling his lips. "On the plains, in the city, in that chamber, out here." Again and again, Elias shook his head, eyes soft. "No, you saved me too, Lyara. You reminded me why humans fight, why we love, why we never give up even when it hurts." Her silver eyes filled with tears, bright as starlight. "Then, stay with me," he smiled, the kind of smile that belonged to someone who'd seen hell and decided to build something beautiful anyway. Always, their lips met slow, tender, earned. It wasn't the desperate clutch of people afraid to die. It was the quiet, sure promise of people choosing to live. Human and Yelari, scarred and exhausted, wrapped in sunlight and psychic warmth. Around them, life gathered. Orphaned Yelari children, their eyes wide and luminous, edged closer. Some war-scavenged bits of armor far too big for them. Others clutched broken toys, scraps of home in a changed world. One little girl, her skin faintly glowing with nascent psychic energy, stepped forward and reached up. Elias broke the kiss with a soft laugh and knelt, scooping the child into his arms. She clung to him without hesitation, small fingers curling into his collar. "Found family," he said, glancing at Lyara with a crooked grin. "Looks like we're starting our own." Lyara laughed, a sound that was finally free of pain. She stepped in close, resting her hand over the child's back and her head on Elias's shoulder. "A human, a Yelari, and a new generation," she said. "Together, we're stronger than any empire." Behind them, human medics and Yelari healers worked side by side. Soldiers shared water, stories, and relieved laughter. The first walls for new shelters were already being marked out among the ruins. The Dominion banners had been torn down and replaced with nothing not yet. The future was unwritten. Above it all, the twin suns rose fully over Virelia, flooding the city with golden light. Crystal shards in the rubble caught the glow and scattered it in 1,000 directions, turning ruins into glittering promise. Through their still-joined bond, Elias and Lyara felt it, not just each other, but the tentative, budding hope of a world no longer kneeling. Humanity had shown its indomitable spirit fierce, flawed, impossible to break. The Yelari had revealed a strength that went beyond power, the courage to trust, to connect, to rise again. And the love between one human and one alien had become a bridge, between species, between past and future, between pain and peace. In the light of Virelia's twin suns, their bond shone brighter than any empire ever could.